Stream it up.
Is this place like, if you pay your membership,
Yep.
is it 24/7?
Yeah, you get a key fob.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
It is awesome. I love it here. Bam. And wait.
How much is the membership?
Boom. Recording. We're back from the P break. Membership, $12 a month or $100 a year.
Aha.
Annually. Yeah. It's so nice. I love it here. This is like, what is it? Home. It's like home, outdoors, the gym in here. It's like fantastic. That's probably where I spend all my time. And Ruby Coffee.
Oh.
Damn you, Ruby Coffee.
They got some zing.
They do have some zing.
I'll tell you, man, I was driving. So Ruby Coffees are like a new local coffee place in town, for those of you that don't know.
Well, they
I guess it was in Nelsonville,
and they've got Team Early as Fuck promo code people can use. So
sweet.
they're a podcast sponsor. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, 50% off your first 2 months of coffee subscription.
So if you dig caffeine, Ruby Coffee is your coffee, because I was driving. I had my first cup of Ruby Coffee. I'm driving to Milwaukee to go see the Bucks play. It was the first of the series against Toronto. And I'm on my way down, and I'm like, doing a conference call or something on my drive. And I'm drinking coffee, and I'm like, suddenly, like, in this conference call, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so high on caffeine. And like, I was so high that I almost was like, had anxiety. I guess it's like slightly more acidic.
Yep.
And some people love it.
Yep.
And for me, I can maybe drink like a shot glass or 2 of it without like being out of my skin.
Some people can't hang. It's fair. Yeah, I get that. Some people are like, it's so intense. I'm like, yep. That's why I like it. Yeah. And it's named after his grandma.
Yeah, I
fucking love
That's
my
awesome
grandma.
too.
Like, when I first talked to Jared and we like started hanging out, I was like, yeah, dude, I dig it. Like, named after your grandma. He's super passionate about everything coffee, like from the farmer that he sources his beans from. Like, is this going to be a farm for the next generation? Are we paying them enough where their kids are going to be like, yeah, let's farm.
That's awesome.
Let's kick ass. Let's take care of the land.
It's great to be forward thinking like that, for sure. That's awesome.
So shout out Ruby Coffee. Shout out Jared.
Ruby.
So we're back. We were talking about, we got deep there for everyone, so thanks for listening. But talking about environment, the importance of challenge, overcoming challenge, flow. I want to bring it all back. We're gonna bring it all back. We're gonna wrap up here, talking about, Adam, for you, this idea of, we're gonna go into a little bit more of challenge. So for you, sports were a big influence growing up. Where did you start to be able to apply that challenge of sports to music? Or was it musical challenge helping you overcome sport challenge? That's my next question.
I think a lot of that stuff is simultaneous. I mean, so for me, I was a dedicated athlete from a very young age till early on in college. I was basketball and football for the most part. And then my football career went into college, and I ended up, long story short, I broke my arm, and it was hyperextended, so I broke it and tore the MCL or something.
Yep.
Which I still can't straighten it all the way, unfortunately. But, so that happened and drastically, like, changed my my sense of confidence on the field. Like, I felt like I was always kind of favoring it, and I caught that, and then also realized that, when you play sports in college, you're basically a football player, and that's what you are. You hang out with a football team. You those are your buddies. You spend like the majority of your time doing football related things, and then there's school. It's a community for sure, which is a good thing in a lot of ways. But for me, I was looking for more of a broad college experience, which I did eventually get. But I quit the football team. Hilarious.
That was
I quit the football team and started pursuing music. The next day, I met Sam Oden, who's our bass player.
Oh, wow.
Who then introduced me to the other fellas. So
fate is crazy.
Fate is a crazy, crazy, wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, all those years of sports, I mean, one of the most wonderful aspects of sports, especially team games like basketball or football, is you're learning the skills of relating to people and teamwork and perspectives. You know how to react. You know how to motivate. You get better at those things. Just you can sense different personality types. With the music industry, there's still many different personality types.
Hell yeah.
You're dealing with, promoters. You're dealing with venue owners. You're dealing, most importantly, internally with your own band. So taking those skills from team sports and applying it to music, it's almost second nature. Because
I love this.
Team sports can help you learn how to react to different circumstances and how to react to different personality types. And once you learn those skills, they kind of just permeate your life almost subconsciously.
Because you're mindful of them. You're
mindful.
You've put the thought into it. You're intentional about it, and what you're describing is what I try so hard to work with my coaches. Like when we get interns or new coaches, it's like these are the things you need to be paying attention about. Like I expect how to coach a squat, or your basic anatomy. Like if you don't know those basic things, like I'm going to come down hard on you.
Right.
But it's these intangibles, these soft skills, like you're talking about, the psychology of it, that to me is so fascinating, and really where you're going to make an impact, and where that's where we grow.
Absolutely.
Like the other, and maybe music is like this, like the technical aspect of music. Yeah, you fucking, like for your bandmates, you're like, yeah, we fucking know these things. You expect it. You're still going to get better at those, but it's all these other things you're talking about that.
What comes to mind, an important thing I think in the live music realm is being able to play to a room.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like when they teach you how to write a good paper or a good like a persuasive letter or something, like to a politician. One of the things they teach you is to make sure you know your audience.
Yeah.
And with us, bluegrass is a genre, and I use bluegrass loosely. We're more like Americana, but that genre specifically is enjoyed by such a broad fan base. You'll get nights where you're playing to absolutely raging bananas 20-somethings in a sweaty club in Champaign. And then the next night, you'll be in upstate New York playing to a seated crowd of we would call them blue hairs, but it's old, like old people, gray haired folks, that don't, like we could play, like, for instance, a rather filthy song. Like we have a song called Make One Today that's about Dave and his college experiences in the shower with his gal friend. You can play that when you're playing a club full of party animals.
Yep.
If you did that the next night in upstate New York to a seated crowd of older folks, it would turn them off, and you'd become unrelatable very, very fast.
Yep.
As opposed to maybe that night in upstate New York, maybe playing something like an old traditional folk song, like maybe Goodnight Irene, or something like that. That those choices really bring people in closer, and it's like, to relate to what you're talking about, like giving the person you're working with a reason to feel close to you, like the relatability aspect. Like when you're in a conversation with somebody, like the best conversations are about some sort of middle ground, a place where you both can, I'd be on my way there, and I'd think in my head, I'd have three things at the top of my head that I knew were you were immediately able to talk about, that were already, that you knew were going to be a bit of information that you both could add to.
Yeah.
the Packers, hunting, love of Madison, Wisconsin. Just these things in your brain, and you do that because that's what's conducive to conversation. But to take it back to your original question, I mean, I think as odd as it seems, there's definitely parallels between somebody's experience with sports and somebody's experience in the music industry. And I personally am the kind of person that I love sports and I love music, and I think they can live hand in hand. And some folks see them as being two totally different things and don't respect one or the other.
Yeah.
But that's not the case for me personally, and I see all kinds of parallels, and and they all come together in different ways too. Like, the fact that you love warming up to music.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's things, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I mean, you learn skills for sure, in sports, mainly the teamwork thing.
Yep.
That I already brought up. That's sort of translated.
Just this crazy samurai dude who talks about his experiences basically with killing people, but like the techniques and all the discipline.
Whoa.
But he's got a quote where once you see the way, you see it broadly. So like what you're talking about, like the things that you focus on in sport that kind of influence.
Once you see the way, you see it broadly.
Yeah. Influence your mind and how you interact with the world and the things you appreciate, you focus on. Like when you found music, or when you were like, music is where I want to go, those things that made you excel in sport,
They translate,
and you saw where they fit. You saw where those puzzle pieces kind of fit into this new puzzle. You're like, yes. And this goes into the last thing I want to talk with you about before we wrap it up is you're talking about community growth, challenge. With Horseshoes, you fucking pedal to the floor, accelerated. You got to this like pinnacle where you're like, we're fucking rock stars. But then you were able, before the brakes blew up, tires flew off, you were able to pull it back and be like, okay, we love this. Where can we do this sustainably? Because we love each other. We love this team. We know our limits. Where can we steer this where it'll be sustainable? And you talked about, well, financially, obviously, that impacts it. But the mental and physical well-being, the health. And then now here we talk about community, challenging yourself, these areas of growth. What does that look like for you? We've talked about it off the podcast, but I think talking about it to people, like, you did Horseshoes and hand grenades and you want to keep it going, but that's not it.
Yeah.
Adam Greuel is growing, challenging himself.
Yeah. So, with Horseshoes, basically, we're still a band for sure, but it's growing now, and like, Russ is expecting a little one coming up soon, and these, as life does, it presents new and wonderful things that also double as challenges. And so with a kid on the horizon, we're slowing down our touring schedule, which is fine. Initially it was kind of a shock, to us all that we, the time is here. You always know that that's going to come. We're in our late 20s. I'm about to turn 29. Russ is 29. So you knew that was going to happen, but, so what we're going to do is we want to make sure we stay a band. I think in all of Horseshoes' eyes, it'd be great if we can celebrate a 50th anniversary.
Fuck right.
Someday. Yeah. That's only 5 times what we've already done.
Yeah.
4 more times what we've already done. But, with it slowing down and music being my focus, I'm going to start like a little solo career. I think, I just developed the concept, and I'm working through it literally as we speak. I'll probably be working on it tonight, but it dawned on me while I was on an airplane the other day. I had this like odd moment of clairvoyance, probably because I didn't have internet.
Truth.
Where you get these moments where, okay, I don't have internet.
Yep.
Oh, I got to use the old canoodle for a little while.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting on there and I'm like, man, how many songs do I have that aren't on Horseshoes records? And I started writing them all down. and 12 of them are going to be released on this record that I'm working on right now. It's nearing completion. I realized that I have like over 40 songs that are unreleased.
Nice.
And then my idea sort of escalated to the fact that I think I want to release 3 solo records 6 months apart, starting in October. So in October, I drop one. 6 months later, another record. 6 months later, another record. Just sort of purge these songs, partially because, like, you know, songs are written like I want to release them. Like, I want to share them with people. I don't want them to fall into the great abyss of time.
Yep.
I'd rather release them as time capsules, and some of which I wrote, 10 years ago already.
Wow.
So why not share them?
Yep.
And so that's like on my horizon. I got, thankfully I've made a bunch of great friends through the music industry that I'm going to ask to join me on some of these recordings, which will be really fun. Just some of my favorite musicians I've met in time, and then some local people that I've known like off and on from Wisconsin that are maybe not in projects anyone would know, but are super passionate humans that are like just full of, to use the expression, piss and vinegar, and just wanna make music, want to be stoked on it, and like that enthusiasm, like we've talked about in this podcast, goes a really long way. It's like almost optimism, it's all sort of tied together. And so I want to involve some of those people that are just going to be excited about it, stoked as hell. And so that's what I'm going to do. And then, to also tie in some earlier conversations, another big focus right now is kind of getting healthy again. Getting, 10 years on the road will do some damage to yourself. And in some ways it can happen like without you knowing it. And so a big focus for me right now is making sure, eating well again, like cutting back on the old hooch train. I won't cut it out completely, I don't think, but focusing on some of those things, because I feel like going into another era, so to speak, doing that with sort of a cleaner mind and a cleaner body could be really conducive to making more beautiful music, and like people can feel your spirit in song, and you want your spirit to be in a good place. The better place that you're in, the more easy it is for you to share the good sides of yourself with other people. And so those are kind of the main focuses right now.
I like it, man. And we're BSing with the great and wonderful wizard Greg Wright for a bit during our potty break. But I know you and him mentioned we're talking about being working on getting on the board, or what that looks like for Create, because I think it's super interesting. You're talking about community, and that you want to stay in the Stevens Point area while you're pursuing these horseshoes and hand grenades, your solo career, getting healthy. And I think it's super cool that you want to be able to give back to the community and kind of help through these experiences you've gained, help the Stevens Point community, like pull in all these experiences. So, well,
you hear it a lot with musicians, but I mean, this community it birthed horseshoes.
Yeah.
In a way, it birthed me too. Like, I grew up here. I grew up just north of Point. My folks are still there, kicking ass. Know them.
Oh yeah.
And growing up in Point, it wasn't like a thriving arts metropolis. It's always had the university, which brought in a degree of culture for sure. I mean, there was, in musical terms, there was the encore back in the day. The fine arts program has always been pretty strong. Some community members have been really conscious about that. I remember, back in the day, there was really only like a couple places that would do live music when I was growing up, and one of them was the Mission Coffee House, which is now Pab's Johnny Pab's Bike Shop where he's running music again. But I remember going there and seeing, Trampled by Turtles. They'll sell, a couple thousand tickets a show now. And I remember being one of about 10, 15 people that were there at a Mission Coffee House show years back. So, to go from that to a place that now Stevens Point has, live music, several live music events are happening typically in a weeknight, if not an actual show, an open mic, and certainly a weekend. Like, I haven't looked at my phone right now, but I know that there's at least 2 live music events happening right now.
Yep.
So, helping to cultivate that for sure is a priority. And it's partially, inspiration from, up in Eau Claire, Bon Iver has been instrumental in like the whole Confluence project and stuff like that, which from what I hear is a relatively positive cause. And like, I love the idea of making sure that you give back to your community and help cultivate arts as well as you can, within your means. And Point's such a beautiful place and has so many awesome people, and we're lucky to live here, so it's cool to give back in any way you can, even if it's just in terms of your own understanding and knowledge that you've picked up from your life so far.
Fuck yeah, love it, dude. Well, let's wrap up with, I know we talked about it earlier when we were just BSing and talking about what we wanted to talk about. So your outlet for music from a physical or a mental standpoint, like, what does that mean for you?
Oh man. Well, I mean, for me, it's like a crucial aspect of my being. It's like, it's almost how one relates, or how I relate to myself, if that makes sense.
Totally.
I've talked about songs being like almost bottled up emotion. I rarely write a song because I tried. It's usually something that like almost had to happen. And people have various outlets, right? Some people put their emotion into jogging, or put their emotion into a painting, or just talk about their emotion to a friend. But for me, it's always come easiest to write a song about it. When I was in middle school and I was like falling in love with somebody for the first time, and too scared to say anything, wrote a song. It's like music's got that wonderful capacity to it's like you can say something in music that you couldn't use your normal words to say. So for me, it's like something that heals. It can make the good times better, and the bad times bearable. I'm thankful for it. I know, listening to other people's music is helpful for me. Townes Van Zandt is one of my favorite songwriters ever, and he was a really distraught person. He battled like terrible depression all of his life, and even like I think at one point had like electroshock therapy when they thought it was helpful. But anyhow, his songs, always had this sense of hope and joy. So when I listen to those, it brings that out in me. So I guess the hope is that I might be able to release some emotions myself, but also give that gift of a song to other people, that it might help them release whatever it is that they're feeling, or just try make them feel better. I think that's my goal. That's how I see it.
Love it, dude. Love it so much. So Horseshoes and Hand Grenades on all the social medias, albums, records, buy tickets. Where can people follow you for the solo stuff?
I haven't yet like created that platform. Nice. But by the time this podcast is released, I better have done that.
That's right. I'll give you a couple weeks. I might drop. I'm gonna drop just this little snippet early.
Yeah.
And then just to motivate you.
Yeah.
And then when the full podcast drops, we'll come back and
has he done it?
I'll hold space for you to be accountable.
Yeah.
I'll just mess.
Please do.
We'll do.
No, right now it's just my personal Facebook page is how I keep people aware, but you can't. It's at its max, so you can't. It's really not functional in this capacity. But we'll figure that out.
Figure her out.
Get me a website.
Ooh, there we go. A little website action. I like it. Little Patreon platform. All right, dude. Anything else you want to leave people with?
No, thanks for being a great dude, man. Stoked. What was it? How many years ago did you pop up on Cashmere Road?
This will be our fifth year. Our first time I met you, Redbridge.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You just walked by me with a growler, and I was like, "This dude's got a fucking growler." It's like, I don't remember what, but I was just like, quick chit chat, talking for a bit, and then I was like, "Oh, that seemed like a cool dude." And then I don't remember who I talked to shortly thereafter, but they were like, they were down at Redbridge as well. They're like, "Yeah, it's Adam Greuel." I'm like, "Horseshoes and hand grenades?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, holy shit.
Well, we were talking somewhere along the line. It was maybe a year or two into you getting out on Cashmere Road. It's maybe me and Hogg or me and Danny or one of our friends, and we were joking. We're like, hopefully he's a lifer. Let's make sure we keep this guy on Cashmere.
That's the plan, man. I love living out there. It's awesome. It's such good energy. It's amazing, magical, because it's very similar to where I grew up. But like you come home and you're just like at peace.
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, I know. It's gonna happen tonight.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, cool, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Boom.
Super fun.
See everybody later.